Good morning. Welcome to Tuesday's Early Morning Intuitive Guidance. I'm Dr. Bonnie Nussbaum, here with some words of wisdom to start your day off well. And we are continuing from yesterday's little foray into some of the Edgar Cayce stuff that was so interesting. At least I thought it was interesting. Hopefully you did as well. But today and tomorrow, we've got more with regard to this. And I hope you actually go and look up this particular YouTube video and check it out for yourself. It kind of has a stylized flair to it, for lack of a better way to put it, but I just think the information is so interesting, and for me, it really resonated and, as I used to say often, clunked into place. Clunked into place. Good morning, Nancy. Glad you are here. Welcome, welcome. Good morning, Joe Neal. Yes, Edgar is very interesting. I mean, you look at the pictures of him, and he just looks like this unassuming guy. And well, it kind of reminds me of there's a psychic currently named Sterling who, yeah, he's just kind of a matter of fact guy, older guy. And yeah, this stuff comes out of his mouth, and you're like, where is this coming from? So, yesterday we actually talked about 5 signs that someone might be in this cohort. I mean, obviously, there's the years that have been differentiated, which roughly very closely mirror the baby boomer years. So this is 1945 to 1965, and talking about what are some signs that you might be a part of this cohort. And so we reviewed those yesterday, but today we're going to talk about energetic permeability and the primary sacred assignments of people in this cohort. Good morning, Beth. Glad you're here. Welcome. So glad you're all here. We've got Practical Rebels here, and I'm sure there will be more popping on as we go. Let us start as typical with some breath and some tapping, just to land ourselves right here, right now, in this moment, grounding through the feet and the base of the spine into Mother Earth. Breathe in, breathe out. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Settling into right here, right now. Breathe in, breathe out. Taking these few minutes for yourself every morning. Hopefully you can make it every morning. Breathe in, breathe out. And if there's ever a morning recently coming up where I'm not here, it's probably because we're making a grandbaby show up in this world. Breathe in, breathe out. One more nice deep breath in, hold at the top, and release. Welcome to Tuesday. Welcome to Tuesday. Off to a good start. So let's begin. So this actually came from a YouTube video that was put out on the site that is labeled Beyondin, Beyond in together. And the title of this particular video is Green Babies Are the Best. I'm waiting. I'm waiting. I actually, well, I can't say that because that'll give it away. I got something really cool for her after giving birth. So, but I can't say what it is because that'll give it away in case she watches. So, anywho, this particular video was on Edgar Cayce, and it was entitled Final Plan for Souls Born 1945 to 1965. Good morning, Abigail. Glad you are here. Thank you for all the fun stuff. I had a dream about sunflowers the other night, and I think it was largely because you put the little sunflower icon in there. It was something about blossoming and opening and being ready to receive, kind of heart chakra sort of stuff. So that was pretty cool. So thank you for that. So this particular part that we're talking about, energetic permeability. And you might be saying, well, what the heck does that even mean? Here's the definition. Not having the same natural barriers between yourself and the emotional fields surrounding us that other people have. Some people come by those energetic barriers naturally. Those who are highly empathic don't have that. No, I did not put the link in the feed. I meant to do that and I didn't. So I'll try to remember to do that when I go back and answer all the questions and stuff. So thank you for that. Um, so it says basically it's a design requirement for a soul that cannot feel the wound deeply enough, cannot heal it at the level it needs to be healed. So again, there are those of us, one of the signs that someone is this type of person, this type of soul who has come to earth to help with the healing. Thank you, Jonelle. I appreciate it. um, is that sense of carrying a heavy load, a weariness that sleep does not improve. Thank you, thank you. Um, and so it's partly due to this energetic permeability. We soak up other people's shit. Let's just put it that way, right? And until we learn to create some boundaries, and one of the coaches that I had as I was in my own coach training worked really hard with us to develop whatever our boundaries were going to look like. Some people created like a bubble around themselves, an egg of um, limited energetic permeability. So negative stuff from others couldn't come in, but we could interact out and positive stuff could come in. I remember, let me think, it'll come to me. I can see her face. Anyway, she did one, um, Donna Eden. She did one where you imagined a zipper up the front of you and you zipped up before you went out into the world. So you weren't walking through crowds of people. And I believe, in addition to these 5 signs that were articulated in this video, I think another sign is those of us who get energetically exhausted being in larger groups. Why? Because we're soaking up all the energy. If we don't remember to zip up before going in, we're soaking up all the energy. We tend to be the people who walk in a room, and if someone's had a fight earlier in that room, it's not happening right then, but we walk in and we pick up that energy. I remember going out to eat when I was married, going out to eat, and I had both kids with me and my then husband, and I looked around at them and I said, "Wow, it's heavy in here." And my daughter's going like this, and the guys are like, "What? What?" Totally went over their heads. They weren't picking up the energy. So, needing to learn how to protect ourselves with that. But again, remember, it is a design requirement. We came to the planet with this kind of ability, this energetic permeability, in order to feel the wounds so that we can help deeply heal them. If we feel those wounds deeply, we can help heal those wounds in the way that they need to be healed, on the level that they need to be healed. He says, souls with this level of permeability who do not learn to establish energetic sovereignty, I like that, energetic sovereignty, will spend life being drained by the very mission they came to fulfill. How devastating and decimating, how bleak do you think that is for someone who doesn't yet understand what's going on within them? They just feel this hemorrhaging of energy. And Kathy DeBoth, yes, yes, yes. Yep, I know. It chimes, doesn't it? They just feel this hemorrhaging of their energy, and they may start to avoid certain people. And I know there was a period of time where some of my fellow therapists and I would talk about people being energy vampires, that they just came in and went, and there goes all your energy. We don't need to blame the other, though. We don't need to blame the other. We need to take control of our own sovereignty, setting up that energetic boundary. You can come this far, no further. You can have this much of my time and energy, no more. That's on us. That's on us. So it says, so the main piece I want you to get out of that is if you feel chronically drained and sleep doesn't really help you feel better, start taking a look at Where in your life are you hemorrhaging too much energy? Where do you maybe need to put some boundaries in place? And to begin with, they can be energetic boundaries. You set the intention that there is now a boundary there. The people who typically drain you of energy are going to feel that new boundary there. Whether you say anything or not, they're going to feel that new boundary. And what do? They escalate. So I call it the vending machine theory. You are the vending machine. They come up to you, they put their money in, they hit a button, they get a response. They come up to you, they put their money in, they hit a button, they get a response. That's been the pattern. Now they come up to you, they put the money in, they hit the button, nothing happens. They hit the button, nothing happens. They hit the button, hit the button, hit the button, hit the button, wiggle the coin return, shake the machine. They escalate. They escalate. And so we need to be prepared for that. Oh, yeah, Bonnie said this is going to happen. They were going to escalate. Give it some time, and they give up and they go away. Over time, eventually, they'll come back and they'll try again. Let's see if the machine's fixed. If I put my money in and I hit the button, do I get the old response? The hemorrhaging of the energy? No, no. You hopefully are still prepared. Periodically, we'll screw it up, right? We'll drop our boundary and they get what they're looking for. Do you know what happens then? More of the same. Why? Because we're gamblers. We're gamblers. If we get a reinforcement every single time we do something, that's not as sexy and exciting as if we're like, I wonder if it's going to happen this time. I wonder if it's going to happen this time. That's why we play the slots, right? You reject their quarter. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. And as if you can get anything for a quarter anymore, right? So, your mission on this part, should you choose to accept it, is to put those energetic boundaries in place. And then, if you haven't yet discovered Taking the War Out of Our Words by Sharon Ellison, fabulous book, fabulous book. But that will help you learn the external skills of how to interact with people who want to drain your energy. The verbiage, what do you say? How do you say it when you're holding someone off? So, excellent book, excellent book. So, now let's shift gears a little bit and let's talk about what are the sacred assignments that people in this cohort, the ones we're talking about, if this is chiming for you, what are your sacred assignments? What are you here to do? Right? So there's three things. And as I read these, I'm going, oh, yeah, every single one of these resonates for me. So, the first assignment is ancestral healing. Ancestral healing. You break the karmic chains that have been running through family lines for generations. A calling to end the pattern. Now, we have talked about this probably since the 80s about healing abuse patterns in families. How do we break the chain? How do you become the generation that does not continue whatever it is? It could be alcoholism, it could be sexual abuse, it could be physical abuse, emotional abuse, whatever it is, drugs, breaking the pattern, right? And with the literature that I read, and this is years ago, maybe they've updated it since, but the literature that I read about alcoholism was it typically took 3 generations of nobody drinking to get rid of all the yucky dynamics, right? So even if people weren't engaging in the behavior, mindset was still there and being handed down. I was talking to a cousin of mine yesterday, and we were talking about sexual abuse. And I said, yeah, it's the gift that keeps giving, generation after generation after generation. So, yeah, patterns are in the DNA. And when that idea first came out, that there were fundamental changes in our DNA strands based on abuse and trauma, the reaction was like, you people are nuts. This is, but as I said yesterday, when an idea is first brought forth, whatever researcher, whatever thought leader brings it forth, they're usually ostracized. You're nuts. That's crazy. Blah, blah, blah. The one that I remember was the guy who created the steam paddle wheeler, and I can't remember his name. I want to say it was Fulton, but they called it Fulton's Folly. Like, you're nuts, you're crazy, blah blah. It takes a chunk of time until the research, like she's saying, the research literally catches up to the thought process. The idea comes first. Look at all the, so if you looked at the stuff in the 50s that was science fiction, oh my God, we're going to have this little bitty box that we can talk on and it's going to do all these amazing things. You're nuts. You're crazy. How many of us carry cell phones around? Every single one of us, right? Although my friend Flo has a flip phone. She doesn't, yeah. But yes, the thoughts precede the creation of things. That's just how it goes. So when something new comes along and you're going, oh my God, that's so fantastical, that is just way out there, recognize that probably in short order, it's going to manifest and the research is going to support it. It's just how this thing goes. So, first one is that ancestral healing, breaking the karmic chains that have been running through family lines for generations. Those of you who may have done some of the energetic work around soul retrieval and shamanic journeying, there's much in there that it's healing the lineage, not only going back. Native Americans talk about healing 7 generations back and 7 generations forward. And by the time you would get to that 7th generation forward, all that yucky dynamics would be gone. So think about that when you're doing your personal work, when you're doing your healing work. I can't tell you the number of people over the years, whether it was coaching clients or psychotherapy clients, who felt like indulging in coaching and psychotherapy was selfish. And I'm like, it is the most selfless thing you can do. You're not just healing you, you're healing 7 generations back and 7 generations forward. You're waiting for your Jetsons car. Rock on. Rock on. Astro. I loved Astro. I want an Astro. Yes. So that's the first one, is the ancestral healing. The second assignment is collective stabilization. Collective stabilization. And by that, it means that our mere presence creates a field of stability that others subconsciously rely on. Our energy fields act as an anchor in environments that would otherwise fragment. How many of you know someone that when they walk in the room, there's the collective sigh of relief? Just their energy. It's a control issue, Jo Neal. She says, they're here, the self-driving cars. You won't find me in one. Yeah, it's interesting. 10 years from now, where will we be with the self-driving cars? Just saying, just saying. So collective stabilization. I certainly know the people that when they walk in the room, everybody kind of heaves a sigh of relief, consciously or subconsciously. That energetic presence creates a field of stability, right? Third assignment is conscious transmission. Conscious transmission. The encoded wisdom that we carry from previous lifetimes is meant to be shared, not stored. So how do we put forth the knowledge that we have? Because oftentimes, especially when it's that prescient kind of stuff, people are like, you're nuts, you're crazy. Oftentimes in psychotherapy and in coaching, I will say to someone when they're struggling with their family of origin and being labeled the crazy one or the black sheep or whatever, is no, you're the thought leader here. You're the one who's out in front of this stuff and they're not catching up yet. And it's uncomfortable to them for you to be saying the things you say, or them picking up the energy of what you believe, and it runs so counter to what they believe. If they're in the this is how we've always done it, and you're in the this is a much better way to go, much better way to be. In my family, that work ethic thing, it's work, 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 collapse, get back up and work some more. Moving away from that has set off a whole lot of stuff. I noticed probably, I don't know, 5 years ago that my sister and I, one of my sisters, whenever we talked on the phone, all we did was a litany of the work that we had done that day and how tired we were. And finally, I caught on to that and I'm like, wait a minute here. We got to bust this pattern up. This is not good. This is not good. So that third one, the conscious transmission, that collective knowledge, that encoded wisdom, to me, that explains so much. When you have a savant, when you have a person who knows how to do something without ever having been taught, doesn't that make sense that it's tapping collective wisdom? When a kid can sit down at a piano, never having touched a piano before, and just go beautifully, does that not suggest there's collective wisdom, right? And it says, we are living through exactly the kind of civilizational fracture that the souls that we're talking about here are sent to stabilize. So it's our mandate, I'm going to call it a mandate, to be taking good care of ourselves. Because again, if we don't have the boundaries in place, we can hemorrhage all our energy in very unproductive ways. Or we can step into what we're here to do, which is to stabilize things. When things are seemingly hurtling out of control, I think of Winston Churchill. London's being bombed in World War II, and he says, keep calm and carry on. There's a point to that. There's a point to that. So we are living through exactly the kind of civilizational fracture that we were sent here to address. So again, I think of all the kinds of things, and many people saying, I don't know what to do. I don't know. So that's one of the reasons that Bonnie Gressel and I put together the healing opportunities that we do on one Sunday a month. And I think, let's see, when's our next one due? And hopefully I can be there. It's the 22nd. It's the Unity Intention Zoom gathering where we send energy. However many of us collect, we send energy. And in numbers, we are very powerful, very powerful. Let's bring that energy together and make it work for you. Yes, Churchill's amygdala may have been under great control. That's a piece that we need to learn how to do, how to self-soothe, how to calm the Chicken Little in our brain that's going, the sky is falling, the sky is falling. We must learn to bring the cortex to bear to calm that little screaming Mimi. So, one more paragraph here, and then we'll save the rest for tomorrow. Souls with service-based missions follow a completely different developmental timeline than ordinary souls. How many of us have felt like my best years are behind me? I missed the boat somehow. I feel this thing in me that I'm supposed to be doing, but I don't know what it is or how to do it. Souls with service-based missions follow a completely different developmental timeline than ordinary souls, moving toward the moment of our greatest effectiveness. So this is the age, this is the era when we can do our best work. It's a spiritual rebirth at between 55 and 65, somewhere in the ballpark. It doesn't mean if you're 80, you're out of the loop. No, that may be your time. If you feel like there's still work in you to do, you're probably still in this pile here. The ego loosens its grip. The need for external validation falls away. I have been so appreciating that one. I was so wound up around what do people think and yeah. Good to get to the point where one no longer really cares what other people think. Yeah. The masks stop fitting. So how many masks do we wear, right? All the labels that we put on ourselves, wife, mother, teacher, daughter, employee, all the things. What are the masks that you put on for those? And those masks beginning to crumble. It's like, nope, here I am. I'm relatively consistent across my environments because it's just too much work to keep those masks on, and they don't serve us anymore. So, what remains when all that falls away, when the ego loosens its grip, when we stop worrying about what other people think, when we let go of the need for external validation, when the masks stop fitting, what remains is extraordinarily powerful, a pure soul, a pure soul. And it's fun. I'm going to say fun to watch the people who aren't there yet around someone who is there. When someone is that, here I am, warts and all, doing my work kind of person, those who aren't there yet are really uncomfortable around them. They'll tend to avoid them. What are they going to say that's going to set me off? What are they going to do that's, too raw for me to cope with? All that kind of stuff. But as more and more of us step into this, just being who we are, just speaking our truth, it gives others permission to do the same. And that's important. That's important, especially in these highly charged times. So hopefully you got some nuggets out of that were helpful. And we've got one more day of getting through these notes. And if you haven't yet watched the video that all of this is based on, check out the link that Jonille put in the feed, because I think you'd really enjoy hearing it in another way as well. I would suggest watch it once just to absorb, and then watch it again to take notes. It's really awesome. So have an awesome Tuesday. We'll see you again tomorrow. Remember, you're capable of far more than you think you are. Bye-bye.